you've heard that we've used this phrase over and over, the and area of print. It's about offset and digital. And as you can see from the products we've just announced and launched, they cover both offset and digital. And we know that in today's market, it's a transition. And printers need both offset and digital. And that's what they need, and it's our job to help them along this journey. So they understand, and it's our job to help them in the and era of print. So I will now hand it over to Eric Vessels, who will moderate our Customer Roundtable. Eric?
Good job.
Appreciate it.
Good.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Eric Vessels. I'm president of What They Think. You may have heard of us. Day one is over. How is our feet? Everyone's feet check.
Ooh,
Everyone good? Okay. Hopefully you picked up a copy of the Drupa Daily. What They Think is publishing that. But we've got four really smart people up here, and five.
And Jim.
A fifth just joined, and a moderator.
I was going to say 6.
There's five and a moderator. So I want to, the Drupa song stops for nobody, by the way. In our video studio, if we're doing an interview, it plays, and we have to stop. And everybody has to stop and wait for the Drupa song. But I want to introduce our panel, some really smart people. Pat Murray, who's Chief Operating Officer of Japs Olson. Lee Reeves, who's the Operations Director of Pure Print Group. And Andy Robbins, Managing Director of Blackmore Press. Mark Buckingham, Integrations Director of Paragon. And just joining us is Jim Continenza, who is Kodak CEO, Executive Chairman, Kodak CEO. So let's get right into the questions because of the Drupa song. So a little bit of background. We're going to talk about digital and offset, not digital versus offset, but digital and offset because, as Denise said, and some others at Kodak, it's the and era. So a little bit of background there. Digital print technology gets a lot of attention, has gotten a lot of attention for a long time. But traditional print methods still dominate and will continue to do so for many years. According to Smithers, digital printing accounts for less than 5% of total global printed pages, right? Smart printers see digital technology as a complement to offset printing, not necessarily a competitor. And offset is still very much a big technology, and it's one of the reasons why What They Think decided to launch an offset section and talk about all of the innovations that are happening in offset still to this day. We've focused on digital printing and a lot of the growth markets, but offset's still very viable. Printers need both offset and digital capabilities to meet market needs and succeed. The current era of print is characterized again as the and era. So I want to explore that a little bit in sections with my guests here. First of all, exploring the complementary nature of these two technologies. How do you see digital printing complementing your offset printing capabilities in your business? And can you share specific examples where the integration of both has been beneficial?
How about I start?
You do it.
I'll start.
You're closest to me, you get picked.
I get to start. At Japs Olson, we have 13 web litho presses. All of them run with digital heads, with the Prosper heads. And we started that adventure in 2006. And so for us, this harmony between litho and digital has been growing for years. 2016, when we bought the Prosper press, the 6000, and then we bought our second in 2019. It really kind of changed the game for us, where we are able to do true 4-color variable and offer more offerings to our customers. It's like I say, it's another tool in our toolbox, but they definitely complement each other.
Right on. Lee, how about you?
It's much the same. We were the company, long before I joined, were very early adopters of the digital technology. Over 20 years ago, they invested in digital. And the two have digital starts to move forward, and then LIFO comes forward, and then digital moves forward, and LIFO comes forward, and then you get jobs where they integrate. So there's some digital that sits with some LIFO, some personalised that sits along LIFO. And it's just this constant integration as the business evolves and the customer's needs evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, the Drupa Daily is an example of that because the cover is digital, but the inside is offset. And we found we wanted to do some variable stuff with the header image. Each one of those images on all 64,000 copies is different. And we did that with digital and integrated both of those technologies. It worked great, really.
I think the key word is complement, isn't it? I think that's running through the theme of today. We're quite different to my two peers here. We are relatively new adopters to digital, traditionally B1 litho house with cold set printing as well. And we found the digital, the short run demand, variable data print, not so much personalization, but more code changes and short runs, sometimes advanced copies. We're quite heavily into packaging. We also find short advanced runs or prototypes for packaging are being produced on our digital presses. So certainly a growing area for us, and looking forward to seeing some of the new technologies that are launched at drupa.
Yeah. And Mark, I know you're digital only, right?
In my area, yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, we clearly have litho within Paragon, but we use the Prosper mainly for our transactional and statement printing, where we can clearly have replaced what used to be the litho-based stationery. We now print everything on the fly together.
Right on. So another thing to talk about too is workforce dynamics, and I wanted to ask you guys, with the introduction of digital printing, how have your staffing and training requirements evolved? What new skills have become essential for your workforce to handle both digital and offset? And do those complement each other in terms of the workforce? Can somebody run both of those technologies? Are they segregated still in terms of operations? And how have you addressed workforce management? I guess anyone wants to take that.
Yeah, I mean, where we are, it's a real mix. And I think the guys on the LIFO sheet fed, they can see that for years where they've been pushing back saying, oh no, LIFO will always be here, LIFO will always be here. And I believe it will. But I think now they're realising that digital's not going away either. So we've got people putting their hands up saying, can we cross-train? We want to integrate into digital. So it's that multi-skilling. So taking the technology training, I mean, it's constant evolution training, isn't it? It doesn't have to be digital and LIFO. Business needs are changing, as we said, on a daily basis, and you're constantly evolving, and the staff are coming with that. But we are definitely now seeing more LIFO guys saying, hold on, we want to know a little bit more about it. So they're volunteering for this cross-skilling, which is great for the business.
Sure. Andy,
we've used it as an opportunity to develop our apprenticeship scheme. We've also been, as you said, really, we've been cross-training and multi-skilling people in different areas of the business. We've got people training on software, on web-to-print systems, and I think there's a different skill set that's come into the business through the development of the digital technology.
Yeah, I think the answer to the question is they are still very different skill sets. However, I think the litho print skill set is something that we can't forget, and I think those guys that are able to transfer across and train on the digital presses tend to work really, really well because they have that training. They've been brought up to look at the quality, look at the output. I think as that transfers into digital, you end up with a better digital output as well.
I think in the UK that comes down to the demographic as well. So the LIFO guys have got so much experience of what a good piece of ink on paper looks like, that that's where that transition comes and that helps. Generally, I think when you look at other technologically, as we've moved with offset printing and our LIFO printing has moved on, there's a lot of technical changes happen there, and that has de-skilled a lot, to be fair.
It has.
But it's the knowledge that these guys have built up, a lot of them now in the UK, particularly 40 years.
Yeah, agreed.
And they're still at it.
Yeah, nice. So one thing I'm interested in is the evolution of an improvement of offset printing. Given that traditional print remains dominant, how has your offset printing processes improved over the years to stay competitive in what we're calling an "and" era?
Well, for Jabs Olson, anytime you can bring automation into the production environment, it's beneficial. But on the offset side, we're seeing shorter runs, we're seeing volumes decline in more versions. And so really the enhancement of from pre-press, the files that go out to the devices to set the ink keys, loading of the plates, all the fundamentals of litho printing have improved greatly. We kind of piggyback on the labor side of things. What we're finding is, Japs Olsen has a much younger workforce than we've ever had, and I think that workforce is adaptive to both sides. But really, when you bring it back to offset and really the beauty of the offset, it comes back to automation, and that's key for us.
Yeah, automation's been a very big topic. Other thoughts on that?
I mean, our litho print side of things has changed immeasurably in the 26 years I've been in the industry. We find that there's many more short runs, much more bespoke, high-end products, decorative coatings. Everybody wants something to look slightly different. We found there's obviously a much heavier focus on sustainability as well on the litho side of things, so minimizing waste. That's a big focus for our business. A whole number of different areas, really.
Nice. So there's a final balancing act, and I like to ask this question a lot. It comes up. When considering new investments in printing technology, how do you weigh capital expense against ongoing operating costs for both digital and offset presses, and what factors might influence your decision-making on which technology you might look at, or an improvement to an existing technology in terms of CapEx?
Generally, our CFO.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's what it comes down to, doesn't it? At the end of it, that's where that decision will be made on how you would finance something. Obviously, everything that you have to, the margins, we spoke about margins a little bit earlier and how tight margins are. And that's throughout the industry. Margins are tight. So when you are buying something, you have to make sure you've got a really robust ROI behind it. And then it's down to the finance guys to give it a tick.
I agree. I think it's a very complicated beast when it comes to trying to financially appraise, these new technologies. How long do you depreciate one of these pieces of kit, for example, when technology moves forward so quickly? We do our best to put together a full, comprehensive financial analysis, but it's got to incorporate everything: labor costs, energy, consumables, all sorts, and it's very complicated.
Another complex piece that we're seeing is a lot of our original technologies come in end of life. We're hearing that quite a bit, and it's happening faster and faster. So we're going to continue to have to adapt and make sure that we're, ready for the next end of life situation that we're confronted with.
Yeah, sure, Mark.
Yeah, I was going to say, in the market that we live in, everything comes down to price, mainly when we're looking to pitch to clients. So therefore, the cost per page is really important. And when you're looking at, certainly in the transactional and statementing market, the quicker you can run, the cheaper the cost per page. The cheaper the cost per page, the more competitive you can be in the marketplace.
Yeah, good.
But on that, though, you also have to look at what new business can you draw from the new technologies.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's what's critical. We see more and more of that. A large yearbook company said, when you played football and I put a football on your page, you'll buy a yearbook. If I don't put football, you may not. I mean, that variable printing, what's important to you, can you drive that new business? This isn't to replace your existing business, it's to help you stay competitive and drive new business also.
Yeah.
Amazing segue into my next question, actually. Customer awareness and preference.
Yes, right.
How knowledgeable are your customers about the advantages and limitations of both technologies, both digital and offset? And do they express a preference? And how does that influence your approach to meeting those needs in terms of what technology you might use?
I think these days it's very rare for them to know the difference, to be honest. I mean, different customers have different experiences, and some, are more aware of the pros and cons, but most of our customers couldn't really care the technology or the output device we're using. They care far more about the end product.
Yeah, we have a lot of customers that want to be on the latest and greatest technology, but yet they don't quite understand the depth, and really it comes down to speed to market and cost per page. Really, that's what they want.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, working in high-end design agencies, they tend to be more specific on how they want their work produced. But generally, if it's web to print, they don't care. They just want the product there. So it's a real mix for us.
Yeah.
It's a real mix.
So what successes have you guys had in terms of integrating MIS systems, automation? And maybe let's delve into automation a little bit more. We did touch on it a bit. integrating MIS and automation into your processes for both offset and digital. Can you share like some examples, maybe not specific examples, but overall examples of how you're doing that to help both processes, or maybe help them work together more?
From a MIS situation, we have a very old MIS system, but we do have a team of IS individuals that are constantly automating the process. So the technology from data processing, pre-press, out into our plant floor is seamless. Ink calculation on the Prosper presses, seamless. Material movement, all automated, which we didn't have 5-6 years ago. But it's all really driven off our older MIS system and then all the APIs that we've created from that. But the result of that is less material movers, less people in pre-press and data processing, and really get back to that speed to market piece. We're able to react much faster to our customers.
Absolutely.
We're on that journey as well at the moment. I mean, we've made good use of the rules-based automation with the Prinergy technology. Having said that, I think with the increase in short-run digital work, we're still processing that too slowly at this moment in time, and so we've got a project underway where we're looking to remove touch points and trying to improve the efficiency of the throughput from estimate stage right through to final delivery.
Great, yeah, good stuff. So, last one maybe. Future growth and adoption trends relative to digital. Considering that digital printing accounts for less than 5% of total pages, how do you anticipate the growth of digital printing in your business? What do you think the future holds for coexistence of balancing digital and offset? What does that future look like for you guys?
From a growth perspective, for us, coming off of COVID and coming off of some of the downturns, we have capacity, but as that capacity fills up, I see us 100% going after digital technology, new digital presses. It's just going back to the training, the automation, the speed to market. It's really, really hard to beat a digital workflow for new business.
Yeah,
how about you?
I mean, exactly the same, really. It's we follow the market or leave the, we get run with the market. We've got 4 slabs sitting in our factory that are built for LIFO presses, and we're actually saying that it's not going to be that far away before there's something different sitting on one of those slabs in a LIFO press. But what that is at the moment, we don't know, because there's so much change.
Yep.
It's changing quickly.
For sure.
I think our new business growth will come from those two technologies sitting side by side for the time being, and there'll be a transition to digital technology and inkjet technology, but certainly shorter volumes, customers not wanting to hold stock, wanting to change the copy more frequently will drive the increase in digital print, I'm sure.
Yeah, I agree. LIFO will always be around. I think as customers need things and want things that are more relevant to them as individuals, the runs become smaller. That leads its way into more of a digital world. I think that process will continue and continue.
Great. Great answers. So I've got one final question. This is for you, Jim. Based on your significant experience within the printing industry, if you were running your own print business today, what would you be doing? And here's some things to think about. Strategy and decisions versus offset and digital, capital investment, CapEx, choosing partners, segments you target, and sustainability.
A lot of questions in one. I've been chairman of 2 large printing companies, so I've had to sit through these meetings. We've always looked at our assets and our CapEx and our OpEx, right? You look at your CapEx and what's your migration path over the next 10 years? You need to have a plan. You can't wake up one day and go. And if you look at offset and look at digital, there's very little difference in offset. I mean, a CTP, a plate, even the presses. There's major differences you get in digital and different concepts and thoughts. Picking the right platform is critical, and try to stay away from, and again, our view is, that's why we build these machines, don't get the throwaway machines. You don't want to be replacing this CapEx. You want to maximize your CapEx investment. So you got to maximize those dollars long term. So you want those machines to go 10, 15 years. You guys are running your machine hard, and so are you. I've been in your plant. I mean, you run these things hard, and that's what you're supposed to do, right? We want that, and you want them run for years. How long have you had yours?
A Prosper Press?
Yeah.
2016 was our first one.
2016. Still running great.
2005?
2005, 2006. Still running. That's where you want to look at your investment, because your CapEx, you want to write a check every 4 years for $4 million? Probably not. right? You want to look at those components. That's really critical when you look at that. But you got to figure out what other business can you get, what type of quality, what things are driving variable. But offset's not going away. I just launched a new plate. I'm launching new CTPs. It is not going away. You got to figure out where does your business sit. And then the migration of operators and skilled workers. We all are dealing with that. There isn't a lot of places that are teaching people how to run an offset press. And let me tell you, those that do are literally small gods. They could just see it, hear it, click it. You've seen your great operators. It's a gift over 30 years. Well, you're not getting, digital, you're not getting that. You could get somebody in here to learn how to work it. It's easier to train individuals on a digital product when you think of it to PDF, right? And I equate it to this. When I have a niece and a nephew, they were 4 years old. They could take an iPhone and work it immediately. They never read the instructions or nothing, right? It's that tech era that's coming up that they're able to run these things very simply because it's intuitive to them. We mentally run comparisons. They're not comparisons. Are they the right jobs? So you got to ask yourself, right, there's going to be consolidation. It's going to continue as it comes down. How can you become more productive and cost effective, and then planning out your CapEx to what your business wants to be? But make those right choices. But then make sure you're drawing business. If you're going to spend that kind of money on a machine, that you're putting as much as you can on it and get your dollars out of it. And that's looking for that variable like printing, which is becoming more effective. But it's OpEx, CapEx, it's the same things. But you got to have a platform longevity-wise from here to there, and how do you plan on getting there? If not, you'll be trapped. You'll have stranded dollars, and that's not healthy. And as you said, some of the stuff's getting old. You're going to start to have to replace it anyway. Look at what, if I was putting a digital press at Synveo or Merrill Corp when I was on the board, we would look at it and go, okay, I'm getting rid of a Komori, getting rid of a couple Indigos. What am I getting rid of, right? Not just adding to. You already have capacity. If you have excess capacity, get that filled, right? And then look from that way. But that's what we would do. You'd look at that longevity, but you need to start planning it because these platforms are coming out, and you're going to have to pick the platforms.
Thanks, Jim.
I'm going to touch sustainability. This is real important to us.
Yeah.
That's a big one, everyone. We said this earlier. Do please pull down our sustainability report. We take it really seriously. Inside of the park, we have our own water treatment. We have our own fire department. We have our own chemical recovery systems. We take sustainability to the extreme, and we do it for a reason. And Pat, you were laughing earlier. I came out of Minnesota, and I like the lakes, and I like to fish. And I'm one of those weird people that thinks you should fish in a lake and be able to eat the fish. And it's weird. We're really taking this seriously, and we're looking at everything we can do to help conserve, our carbon footprint. We go to our suppliers and our aluminum suppliers, right? A lot of them are using hydro. We don't buy aluminum in Russia, China, and other places where they're using coal. We buy our aluminum in Germany and the UK. They're using hydro in other areas. We're putting it on our customers and on our suppliers to become more efficient, not just us. If you can do it, you should do it. And that's kind of what we do it through Kodak. If you can do it, you should do it. And we're requesting that our suppliers do it and our customers. Anything we can do to help, maximize that. There's one planet, like it or not, and if we destroy it, it's over. So we really do make our suppliers meet those standards. I personally meet with them.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you guys for your attention. And let's thank these thought leaders. I think they said some really good stuff. Pay attention to. Yeah. Appreciate you guys, and I'm going to toss it back to Denise.
Thanks. We are going to take questions. We've got a little bit of time for questions. We've got 2 mics. So if you want to come up to the mic and ask your question, and then we'll direct it to the appropriate person.
Actually, if you want to put your hand up, we can pass you the mic, if it's easier. Anyone got a question?
Right here.
Thank you. So maybe, thank you all for the commentary here and sharing your time. So we've gone through a tumultuous time. Maybe you could speak to how you see the health of the industry today. Then maybe you can share about some things that Kodak has done beyond what you've discussed today about how they help you navigate through what has obviously been a pandemic and traumatic times, war, inflation, etc. So maybe you can speak to how you see the health of your markets today and what Kodak's done to help you out.
In the direct mail space, there's a lot of inflationary things on the horizon and currently. But I really think innovators and those that continue to invest, those that take care of clients, and make sure that print is still a valuable piece in this world, in the supply chain, we're going to be fine. And I think that's key for all of us. I know for Kodak, for probably everybody on this panel, we have to do our jobs better than we've ever done them before. And we have to win whatever business and that we can and keep those customers happy. At the end of the day, that's what's going to do it. Those that kind of fall off, don't invest, don't innovate, I think they'll be going home early.
I agree. I think the key things to keep moving forwards, I know I'm probably preaching to the converted, but a well thought through printed product still sits very well against any form of digital marketing, and I think that will be the case for a long time.
Volumes continue to drop, even in the transactional market. Certainly in the UK, it's a 7 to 8% drop year on year. Kodak have worked with us over the last, 18 or so years, but certainly from the last probably 6 or 7 years to ensure that we can run things at the speed that we need to, with less people, with more dynamic outputs, to enable things to get from our customer data to the end customer as quickly as possible.
We're seeing less family-owned businesses, more fund-owned businesses, and we're seeing a lot more cooperation because we're also owned by a lot of large investors, right? So a lot of us are now sharing a lot of information on what they're doing in the future. Like, I may be doing an acquisition, I may be shutting this down. What should we do? Can we reposition this? It helps that we're sharing our business plans, not just, hey, you want to buy a printer? Some of these guys, we actually do full business reviews. We show them ours and you show us yours, and we know where you're going. And we're under NDAs, and it's important that you do that, because the last thing we want to do is be giving you the wrong stuff. We need to know what you're trying to do so we're not hurting or hindering your business. So we've been very fortunate with a lot of our customers. We sit, and been very candid on your business planning, and that helps us understand how we can help you.
Is there another question? All right, up here, up front.
Uh-oh.
Hi, it's Jo Francis from Print Week. Thank you, panel. Nice to see the Brits up there. That's really interesting. I've got a question about UltraStream. When you were developing it, I think there was a sort of talk of various OEM applications that were being investigated. Is it possible to get an update on that? Various other people looking at doing, different types of presses with the UltraStream technology.
So our heads do go on other people's equipment. There is some OEMing. We are working with some other manufacturers of equipment to kind of do a hybrid, where we're seeing kind of a reverse gravure and a digital. We're working, so that's just being worked. It's Stream and UltraStream. It depends on the application. But there is some of that. That takes more time when you work in partnerships. We have our clock and they have theirs, and we have to work them together. But more importantly, right, we're focused on these core components. And because when you get these right, it's easier to grab those others because they'll kind of come by you. UltraStream originally was invented, just so you know, to replace the way we make film. They thought this would be the way they could layer and do it, and they realized at the end you couldn't, but they were, wow, we got something here that we can really advance. It was really to replace the manufacturing process and kind of, backed off. But one thing UltraStream gives you is that continuous inkjet. Well, film is continuous. We do coating for substrates for EV batteries, for car batteries. That's continuous. The only way that we here in the United States, at least with our cost of labor and everything, can compete is we can't do batch manufacturing. We don't have 1,000 people in a room, working in boxes. We have to use continuous. So oddly enough, this technology is doing coating for EV batteries, believe it or not, and doing and actually other technologies in the company is that continuous manufacturing that gives us a global advantage because we're not tied to labor only. It gives you that big little box. So we're using it internally ourselves, but also there is some other things that are in the works.
Any other questions? I think, was there a hand over there? No? Jim, I'll hand it over to you to close it up.
I'm not going to pick on you, Ricardo. So you talk about OEM. The one more thing to touch on, right? Sometimes you get on these deals, and here's the problem. We're committed to them, but you sell your company. We had that happen. you know what? We end up back in the back of the line again, and that's just very complicated. So when you do these, you got to get them right. We learn. Look, I admit our mistakes. We make them, but you have to make sure that partner has that same commitment because that does change. And even as I know, Pat, you recently sold your business, right? They don't buy into your vision. That changes everything for all of us. But hopefully they buy you for who you are and what you're doing, not for what they want to do to you, right? Because that's why they should be buying you, because you have a successful business. So, but I just want to make sure you understand that too, because we've had that happen. We get on a path, they get bought, and they go, we don't want to do that. Okay, we're halfway here on the airplane, and you want to turn around and go back, right? It becomes difficult. But first off, I want to thank everyone here, just so you know, as we've been trying as open and candid as we can be. We try to keep ourselves accessible. I think every one of you can get a hold of me anytime you want. Denise, anybody. I mean, we don't have a lot of barriers. We made a lot of changes here. We've changed 85% of the leadership, which isn't easy to do because we had to go a different direction. But when we say customer first, we mean it. And if anyone up here doesn't feel that, you should call me and tell me that, because that is what we mean. We have to make sure we're taking care of the customers. Anybody here in this entire building cannot win if the printers cannot sell more, because that's who we serve. We serve you to serve your customers. We have no reason to exist if we cannot help you grow your business, because it's not worth our time or yours. So that's real important to us, and we need to know when we're not doing that, and that's okay to tell us, and some of you have done that. And when we are doing it, what more can we do? So I want to thank everyone. I know it's late, but we really appreciate everyone coming out and listening. I know it's somewhat boring, but it's good to do, and no dancing music to end the show. But thank you again. We're really committed to the space. We haven't really said it here, but we have every quarter, our largest customers, we're on the phone, and they give us input. They work on things for us. We're not building it hoping they like it. They're telling us what to build, and that's what we're listening to. We're not sitting, we probably wouldn't build what you have, but the biggest piece to look one more time, right, is we started to put our own pieces in here for a reason, and that's coming from somewhere. Buying GSS and integrating it and controlling that was a decision from our customers. They wanted to ensure when supply chains got tight that we could still take care of the equipment. The only way to do that is to buy the company that makes the chassis, because we didn't make that part. That's the only way I can ensure that I can take care of you. I can't tell you who's going to go in and out of business, right? A lot of companies go bankrupt. I can't tell you who's going to be here in 10 years. What I do know is I will control these components, so you don't need to worry about that. That's not your concern. And we all experienced that through the pandemic. I mean, if I told you how many times I got calls, buy a year in advance. You buy a year in advance. We spent all your money. We need more money. Buy another year in advance. Well, I can't buy 3 years in advance, and nor do you do that. So you got to pick your pattern. And one thing we really tried hard, I want to say it again, is in that pandemic, we kept everyone supplied. And not many can say that. It's because where we manufacture and our relationship with our suppliers. We have a very tight relationship with our suppliers, and we didn't have that before. We made sure we did that to make sure we can take care of our customers. And your volumes, we know what they are, and your forecasts, when we do our business reviews, help us understand how much aluminum to buy, right, to make sure that we have it, and we're out procuring it and getting it in advance. So these are things that we take seriously. So everything you can do to help, we always appreciate it. Everyone here, we appreciate you looking, and we're committed to our space. We have to do this because this is who we are. So thank you, everyone.